I started for kicks, messing about really. It just appealed to me. Nothing more than that. There was no other reason I could think for starting why I started at the time. We started before Wild Style, and all those major influences came out. There had been stuff in the Face magazine and Buffalo Girls, the video. Nothing was ever centred around graffiti, but had graffiti involved in the making of it. And that was, you know, obviously a big influence in the concept of American style graffiti, but not of getting out and doing it, because we didn't know what it took to get out and do it. And so I went out with a guy who used to look out for me, and he started paying, but wasn't that interested. He was more into sort of coming out at me and getting the buzz from it. Then the Z-Boys started, and we had some rivalry. Then eventually, because we were the only two groups working, we sort of joined up and got arrested. I didn't start for any political reasons or anything like that, or because my life was terrible. I haven't had a really terrible life. I've had about an average life, the same as everyone else. I've put up with what's going on. But I couldn't get into art school. I couldn't define my own self in art, you know what I mean? I tried to get into a technical college twice doing graphics, and they didn't like what I was doing. And it's just natural to think, well, if they don't want me, I'll do it somewhere else then. And it's a very selfish thing to do in a way, to go out and paint the streets, because no one's got any choice in looking at it. But then again, there's so many things forced upon you in life which you have no say in, no choice in. That it's just, it's something which I can't help doing, really. I want to express myself, but I don't want to be told when I can. It's just completely, it's just a free expression. It's an amazing feeling of achievement. I mean, half the achievement of painting it in the dark and getting what you want up on the wall, what you went out to do, and half for the fact you didn't get arrested during the process. It's, you know, so you got so much, you're thinking so much, you know, you get a total buzz from it. But at the same time, it's like you said, the environment, you've suddenly done something to contribute to your environment, which you'd never usually have the chance before. No one gets a say in the architecture of the latest new office block to appear in front of your doorstep, you know. And this is probably my only way of contributing to my environment in what I try to set out to do positively. I mean, obviously some people try and do something to the environment in a pretty negative way through vandalism, and this is called vandalism, but there is such a thing as positive vandalism. I've been caught twice doing street graffiti. The first time I got fined £125, and the second time I was fined lesser, £40, and we had to go to an attendance centre every 2 weeks, like a short, sharp shock every Saturday morning, every other Saturday morning, where you did physical training, painting, woodwork, all that sort of thing. I mean, one irony of it was that they'd got some young kids to paint graffiti on the walls of the centre to brighten it up. You know, that's the sort of thing you encounter through doing this sort of thing. I mean, when I was first arrested, the housing association which brought charges against me were the same housing association which I got permission from 2 years later to do a piece of graffiti for the Watershed, for their 24 Hours exhibition. So, I mean, what can you make of it? And I think if I get caught again, they'd like to send me to prison. I mean, 3 times been caught at the same offence. I haven't had a solicitor the times I got arrested. I didn't have a solicitor. I think next time I will. I think I'll have to. I was going to do a spell in Orfield for a few weeks. I was asked to come out to London after about a year of painting. It's when I first started getting commissions. And there was no graffiti in London. A DJ called Tim Westwood phoned us up and said, would you like to do something in my place? I'll give you some publicity, and, you know. So we did that. And at that time we were sort of rated as the only in the country, you know, the best in the country, because no one else had come forward. And then a book called Subway Art came out, a really famous book, all about graffiti in America on the trains. And from that point on, everyone became a graffiti artist. Everyone was walking around with a sketchbook, and it lost all its individuality. Graffiti, you know, designs weren't realistic. They were American. They didn't belong to anyone in particular. They weren't anyone's own. They were just sort of second-hand. And all these London guys started doing it suddenly. And we were just pushed out. I mean, coming from Bristol, which isn't a capital city, you know, we were pushed out of the ratings altogether. And no one else seems to get a say, but, you know, the time will come. I mean, the film will be out soon, a national film which will go through America and England. And Henry Chalfont's book called Aerosol Art, which is a sequel to the first. And people will see that it started not in the capital city where everyone likes to think everything begins, life begins in London. But it started in the suburbs of Bristol and places like Birmingham. Doing a street graffiti, planning a design beforehand is very important what design you plan, really, because you've got to be able to realise the potential you're going to achieve. You know, you achieve in those conditions at night. It's one thing designing a very complicated, exciting design for a canvas or something, but when you're thinking about the environment you're going out into, if it's cold and wet, and the wall surface, and the darkness, and the amount of light, the amount of light available, whether the cans are going to stay faithful or they're going to up. You know what I mean? So when you plan your design, you'll bear all these things in mind beforehand. And then I tried to go out this January '86, and the spray paint wasn't functioning. It was coming out like crazy string. It wasn't meant to work under those conditions, and it's freezing cold. You can't wear gloves. Gloves don't give you any control over the paint, and the spray can's made of metal. It's like clutching a block of ice. And when you're there for a couple of hours clutching ice, freezing cold with the rain and whatever else, it's not much fun. And if the paint doesn't function and you're depressed and the paint you come out with isn't going to be that good. Spray paint's terrible stuff. It's crap. The manufacturer is pathetic. You never get 50% of the spray cans are going to mess up halfway through. So it's not a luxurious art form at all. It's not really that fun actually painting in materialistic terms, because you have so many problems doing it. But it's just the buzz. It's what you're doing. I hate spray paints, but I love what they do. I'd like to make my money somewhere else. I'd like to be rich and do graffiti as I like it, raw. Of course, if someone's going to come up to me and offer to buy my graffiti, and they got the money, I'm not going to refuse. And I think that's the way most of the artists feel. If someone's going to be stupid enough to pay for it or whatever, then then sell it. The outdoor side of it is the strongest for me. I mean, being caught twice, I've got to be careful now. I can't just go out and do what I used to do. I haven't got the nerves even. I've got to operate in different places because I know where I'm going to get caught and where I'm not. I've got to try new areas out, which is dangerous in the sense that I won't know them, but it's safer because I won't be expected to do it there, and they won't be looking out for it. But the outlaw thing is strong. It's not to do with teenage rebellion, I don't think. It's just to do with rebellion altogether, I suppose. To want to do something all for you, but for everyone else. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't make sense, does it? Graffiti doesn't make sense. I don't think anyone can make sense out of graffiti because it's got so many different values and aspects. It's not plain and simple. It's crime and it's art, and that was all it is. You can't change that.